All right, circle up. Kyusho, come on up. Next pressure point we're going to work. Actually, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to teach you finishing points. Finishing points, if you look at, and I'm going to give you guys a homework assignment. If you go to YouTube and you pull up MMA fights, you look at all the ones that ended in a knockout. I want you to look at where these guys are getting hit that's knocking them out. When you look at them, you're going to find out that there's basically 5 spots on the head that result in most of the knockouts. The first one will be, if you look at the jawline, the hinge of the jaw here to the tip is where we're going to focus. For you guys on this side, the hinge of the jaw here to the tip is where we're going to focus. Okay? First one, I'll show this to the camera in a minute, but everybody find the hinge of your jaw. That's the first one, but we're going to start from the point closest to us and work back. So from here, I'm going to trace the jawline until I feel a little notch in the underside of my jaw. Yours is right here. Ooh, you got a good one. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Feel a little notch? Okay. That notch is the mental nerve. It's the mandibular foramen. You got a good one. Okay. To activate, that's actually 2 points for the price of 1. Okay. The point has to be struck. Let me find yours here. If I'm coming from underneath it, it has to be up and in 45 degrees towards the opposite quadrant of the head. So, in other words, I have to draw an arrow that way. So as I come up, I get a little buzz, right? They do that a lot. Okay? So as I come up, and I got to give it a little bit of a smear. Up and in this way. If I'm coming down on it, up and in through the spine to the opposite quadrant. So for you guys on this side, it comes up. I'm not going to do it on both sides.
Thank you.
As I come up and in, I smear it. So I smear the energy up and over the head and through the head. If I'm coming down, like a hammer fist strike or an overhand, this way. Those of you guys who are in my systemic class, you'll see a lot of these hits coming in. Those are not nice hits. Okay? I need to come down and in 45 degrees. Down and in 45 degrees towards the spine. Okay? So a lot of you guys do moves and forms like this. That's where that goes. Down and in that way. You fit that little knuckle right in here. Okay? Now, I'm teaching you these because you don't actually, when most people teach pressure point work in Kyusho Jitsu, they try to set it up. They teach you to hit an arm point first, and then we try to get to the head, because if we do this right, the body will be where it needs to be hit. We'll get to that. But if we spend all our time on setups, we'll never get to finishes. The beautiful thing about finishing points is they will work without a setup. You just got to hit them harder. Right? So in combat, you know where to go. When you're training, you're doing your brush traps. You know where to place that fist. Make sense? Even if all I did was just trap this in and came in on this, that's going to give him a significant buzz. Okay? So we're going to start with the end first. Where are we going to hit him to make him go night-night? So this is stomach 5 on the acupuncture chart. It's the mental nerve. You have 2 for the price of 1. If you're coming up and in, smear. A little bit of a smear. A lot of times, if you don't do the smear, it doesn't work. Don't know why. Just the way God designed the system. Up and in, 45 degrees. Okay? Down and in. Down and in, 45 degrees. Okay? So here's how you're going to play with this. There's a training algorithm we use to keep it safe, but to teach you how to strike through points without necessarily activating them, but giving you the right kind of feedback for combat. It's called push, or place, press, and push. So what's going to happen is we're going to start off with his hand out in the training position. We're going to practice brush check, place the hand on the point, push through it. Okay? That's all I'm going to do. 1, 2, place the hand at the right angle and direction. Remember something. Pressure points need 3 things to activate them. They need the right angle and direction, they need the right stimulation, and they need the right combination. Okay? If you hit if you're doing advanced Kyusho, if you're not hitting them in the right sequence, you're not going to get the same effect. Okay? But if I just come in here and I do that, just touching that hand pretty much anywhere gives me the right relationship. Okay? That's the beauty of this movement. that automatically creates the right relationship because I'm working on energetics of the arm, not necessarily the actual points. So here's what I want to do. I want to place it, make sure I got that little knuckle in that little hole. Okay? Press on it. That's all we're going to do. This point requires hitting. It's not pleasant to get pushed on, but it requires hitting to activate it. So you have much less chance of injuring somebody while getting the same feedback. Many times when we hit things, we're used to pulling the punch, we're used to not penetrating through. There's a lot of things that we're not used to moving a load when we punch or push. This teaches us how to move through the point, move body weight, deform structure. If your punch isn't at the very least affecting his structure and movement, you're not punching effectively. If you punch and it bounces off, that's pointless. When you punch, it should move him. It should affect his structure in some way. Does that make sense? Because if you take his structure, he can't launch a counterattack, whether he goes out or not. If you take the platform he uses to fight back and you make it weak and unstable, nothing he does is going to be good. Plus, it makes the pressure points work better. Does that make sense? So when we do this, this is the relationship that we want. And I press through. He can fight back if he wants to. It just sucks for him because he creates tension, and tension stretches the nerve. And just like a guitar string, when you have a tight guitar string, you have a good note. Well, the tighter he makes it, the worse it hurts. Does that make sense? Go play. I'll come around and help you.